This story begins with a question. And that question is, who is the absolute being in the middle realm? This person who is holding a sword in his hands is the main character of this story. And the narrator is telling us about it. When he stamps his foot, the mountains blow. When he leaps, the heavens are within his reach. If he swings the sword, the tidal wave parts. His will is the will of God. Well, right now the main character is fighting a being. And being makes many types of attacks on the main character. But the main character stops all those attacks. This being is facing a lot of problems in fighting with the main character. And the man character has made a dangerous attack on the being with his sword, which directly hits the being's neck, and at this place the man character has cut the being's neck. And the main character seemed as if he had spent many days fighting the being. But finally this being has been defeated. The man character appears in front of that being, and that being speaks to the man character, "If you kill me, you will be trapped in the eternal abyss of the underworld. Do you intend to die with me?" The main character has no such intention. Holding his sword forward, he says to the being, "Let's tackle complete issues step by step. First, let's start with you dying." Being said, "Is that your intention? Is that the reason I lost?" The man character kills that being with a sword, and the man character is smiling, pass through, or the first one to cross. So let's start from the beginning. At the beginning of this story the narrator is telling, Ming Dynasty Imperial Palace, Forbidden City. Originally, Jianqing the palace was supposed to be the most splendid and massive structure within the palace grounds. Because it was where the Son of Heaven, the Emperor, lived. However, that was not the reality. The Heavenly God Palace boasted a much more splendid and majestic presence compared to Jianqing Palace. This means that Master of the Heavenly God the Palace held a higher position than the Emperor of the Great Ming Empire. The Master of the Heavenly God Palace, the leader of the Heavenly Demon Sect, Jin Yuseong. The absolute ruler with immense power in the Central Plains, his life. We see Jin, who is lying face down in the bed, and Jin is getting very bored. He felt as if he might go mad. Jin has everything now, but he is still getting very bored. And he is saying, "I have become a sect master, but still there is no fun in my life." That is why he is shouting loudly, and he is saying, "I just shouldn't have been born." Then a man comes behind Jin, and he says to Jin, "Leader, your subordinates are listening." But Jin tells him, "What? What? And what about it? Can I even speak now with my mouth open?" Well, this man's name is Juching, and he is a disciple of the Heavenly Demon Sect. Then Jin asks Juching, "Are you standing at this place so that you can protect me?" So Juching says yes. But hearing Juching's words, Jin starts laughing and says, "But how will you protect me? It's not a job for a tiger to protect a dragon, do you know? Jin is very powerful, and there is no one in this world who can defeat him. That is why Jin is getting bored." Then he says to Juching, "Isn't there any group that can defeat me?" But Juching says there is no one like that. And Jin says to him, "Why shouldn't an assassin fight me?" And anyway, Jin feels the presence of an assassin at the gate, so he says that any assassin who wants to fight him can come. Who knows, maybe it's someone exceptionally clever, choosing the front entrance as a strategic move. A man comes who is an assassin. But he bows down directly in front of Jin. But Jin does not like this. He says, "Hey, didn't tell you not to do that?" The name of this man is Sangrim, who is an assassin of Heavenly Demon Sect. Sangrim also cannot defeat Jin, and Jin says to Sangrim, "What? Is Juching higher than me? So, why pay attention to him?" Hearing Jin's words, Sangrim says, "I'm sorry. Please kill me. Do you really want to die?" And Jin releases his power and says, "Then why lie instead of speaking the truth? Are you mocking me? Right now?" But Jin says, "All right, it took about 2 years. How were the colleagues in the Western region? I heard that the Western region has firearms and technology far more advanced than the Ming Dynasty. If there are martial artists in the Central Plains, is it true that in the Western region, there are practitioners of magic known as sorcerers? What I'm curious about is how strong they are. If there's a formidable enemy, I can't just stay put as the guardian of the Central Plains, can I? How about it? Are they incredibly strong? Should I fight? It seems like I have to fight, right? Sangrim says, well, my conviction is in that as it feels awkward. Jin says to Sangrim, oh, forget the formality. Just say it quickly, the master wants it, so just speak comfortable without formality. Hearing Jucheng's words, Sangrim starts shouting, and there is silence at this place for some time. Then Jin says to Sangrim, you managed to subdue 70% of the leaders of the magic faction? I told you not to casually pick a fight, didn't I? Sangrim tells Jin, due to the wind that is pushing us into being perceived as an evil force. I refrained as much as possible from causing casualties. Are they that weak? Their abilities were excellent, but it seemed that magic had evolved more as a skill than a combat technique. Things like making it rain or communicating from a distant place. Jin falls asleep after listening to Sangrim's words. And he has fallen asleep. Then Sangrim sees something to Jin and says, Sect Master, take a look at this once. And Jin asks Sangrim, what is this thing? So Sangrim tells, I received this mysterious item from the leader of the Western Region Mages faction. According to the mages, they claim their ultimate goal is alchemy. It's a technique of combining lower-tier materials to create higher-tier materials, for example, turning stones into gold. And Jin is looking at that book and saying, isn't that something those street swindlers do often? Sangrim says, no, there are actual successful cases. The ultimate goal of alchemy is said to be entry into a higher realm. This book contains the methods, and the gem is one of the ingredients. And Jin is reading the book and saying, higher realm references to what? And Jucheng says, isn't it something like the legendary martial arts realm? Since the mage envoy came with them, it would be good to ask them. After this, a man comes to this place. And its name is Mulder. And this is, representative of the Mage Envoy Corps from the Western region. And Jin asks Mulder, can you create what's in this book? And Mulder says, in theory, it's possible, but in reality, it's not feasible. And Jin says, hey, that's interesting. How did you learn our language so quickly? Mulder tells Jin, yes? Oh, there's a method that makes it easy to learn foreign languages. Jin says happily, indeed, you guys have advanced in technology. I thought you lost to Sangrim, so I assumed you were fucking weak. And Mulder is thinking, it's truly a formidable magic power. Then Jin starts releasing his real power, and seeing Jin's power, Mulder is thinking, I can't believe he is perfectly harnessing such magical power inside himself. And Jin says, but why is it impossible to produce? Is it theoretically perfect? And Mulder says, there is no energy to activate the gate. Jin is surprised to hear Mulder's words, and Mulder says to Jin, oh, I'm sorry. Proper nouns don't translate well, so, gate is the Ming Dynasty language for the door of pleasure, and you can think of energy as vitality. And Jin says, vitality for the door of pleasure? There's absolutely no issue with that. Do you know about female practitioners? They're beings who seduce men and gather together energy through the absorption technique. And Jin starts imagining those girls, and says, oh, I will go there, have a meal together, and take a bath as well? After listening to Jin, Jucheng says to Jin, Master, please maintain your composure. Many eyes are watching. And Jin says, huh? Oh, it has become a habit to chat. So, you're saying you lack energy? And Mulder says yes. Then Jin tells him, why do you insist on inheriting a technique that cannot be executed? Was this something highly valuable to you all? Then Mulder says there is one possibility. According to records, about 100 years ago, the triplets once tried to open the gate. It is said that there was a time when they dispersed magical energy, and the gate was halfway open. The total energy required to open the gate can be filled when multiple images gather. The issue is that an extremely pure magical power is required, but each person has a slightly different nature of magical power. And Jin says, so it doesn't mix perfectly due to the different nature of magical power? Mulder says, exactly. If there were 5 master mages along the triplets, it might be possible. The immense magical power needed to open the gate, so, it's impossible for one person to possess. But Jin starts smiling after listening to Mulder's words, and Jin says to Jucheng, try sending. everyone within a radius of 100 yards out. Jin uses his power and sees if anyone is in his palace or not. And when Jin finds out that there is no one in his palace within 100 yards. So he says to Mulder, now, the only ones left within 100 yards are you and me. Mulder is surprised to hear Jin's words and he starts thinking, has this man read the presence of everyone within 330 yards right now? Jin says to Mulder, did you say it was far? But Mulder is surprised to see Jin's ability, and Jin says to Mulder, look carefully, this is the total amount of energy I have in your language. And Jin now starts releasing his full power. Mulder is very surprised to see Jin's power, and Mulder is thinking, how? Can one person accumulate such a dense magical power? If I released this much power, my body would explode. And Jin says to Mulder, at some point, having too much inner power becomes uncomfortable. Moreover, my inner power doesn't naturally dissipate. Because the binding force is too strong. That's why I usually compress it and hide it well. Otherwise, ordinary people die. And Jin asks Mulder, what do you think? With this level of energy, can I open that gate? But Mulder is shocked to see Jin's power, and he is thinking, now I understand. Before unleashing his power, this person had sealed his magical power, and what remained was just the residue after sealing. I was astonished by that residue. And Mulder is thinking, and Mulder bows down in front of Jin, seeing which Jin starts asking Mulder, why are you suddenly calling me the sect leader? The mages call me the supreme being. And Mulder says to Jin, I want to devote myself to the heavenly demon sect. There is someone who has received the ultimate level. How could my body and mind choose a different path and different leader? Jin gets angry after listening to Mulder's words, and he says, who said I'm your leader? Get lost. Then when Mulder looks ahead, Jin is not there in front of him. Jin now disappears from this place. And Mulder is surprised to see this and he says, did he disappear? Is this the blink mentioned in the legends? 1 year later. Mulder has made that gate, and Jin is watching it carefully, and he is saying, all I can see is this jewel? Is that it? And Mulder is telling Jin, it's just buried and invisible. A massive altar has been created underground. And energy is coming out from that crystal, and Jin is saying, certainly, I can feel a strange energy from this jewel. It's a mixture of positive and negative energy. Jin is speaking to these people. This is interesting. Now, what should I do? And Mulder says, sect leader, you just need to pour your inner power evenly toward the jewel. Then Jin is about to put his energy on that jewel, and Jin says to everyone, it could be dangerous, so everyone should stay away. And now Jin slowly starts putting his energy into this jewel, and as soon as Jin does this, a lot of energy is coming out from inside him, which starts going directly inside that jewel, and Jin is saying, amazing. If I just forgot this much inner power, even 1,000 years old perennial iron would shatter into pieces, yet there's not even a tremor in this jewel. My pride is hurt. And now a lot of energy is coming out from this place, which these people are unable to handle, and Mulder is thinking this can't be. The supreme being of the Central Plains is like a legendary dragon? And soon a gate starts opening at that place. And seeing this, Mulder and some people get surprised, because Jin has successfully opened the gate. And everyone is praising Jin. And after some time, Sandrim is now ready to go inside that gate. He has made all the preparations, and Jin is surprised to see Sandrim so excited. And Jin asks, why you? So Sandrim says, don't you firmly believe that there must be another civilization inside? Jin says that may be true, but beyond the gate, it could be dangerous. Wouldn't it be better to find other candidates now? Jin is worried about Sandrim. But Sandrim is laughing, and Sandrim says to Jin, yes, so I will go first, and have a great time. If something dangerous happens, the sect leader will come to save me. Just like survival camp training. Jin starts smiling after listening to Sandrim's words, and he says, all right, go and come back safely. And Jin is telling us, he was respected by the members and disciples of the heavenly demon sect for not abusing his power. So, he was one of the 3 members of the heavenly demon sect who belonged to the survival camp with me. Entered the gate, And even though I believed he would return safely, few years later. 10 years have passed, and Sandgrim has not come back. Internally, they tried to gather additional reinforcements, but I opposed it. If it's really dangerous, it would be meaningless for weaker individuals in martial arts than Sandgrim to go, so I didn't allow it. After Sandgrim left, and Jin is sitting at one place, and he has a wine in his hand, and Jin is saying, Sandgrim, do you remember the time we fought together, laughed together, and cried together? And Jin further says, another 80 years have passed relentlessly. What's the rush? Everyone left me behind and went away. Now that the descendants are leading the heavenly demon sect, and in this empty heavenly palace without any close friends, even if I achieved immortality and returned to a young body with the rejuvenation technique, what joy is there in living alone? Nevertheless, it seems that tombstones won't increase anymore. I wonder if I can have my own tombstone? Or perhaps it suddenly disappeared. Who knows? A legend like the tales of the 5-colored celestial line might emerge. And now Jin starts going inside that gate, and as soon as he goes inside, a lot of energy starts coming out from inside the gate. Then we see the other side of that gate. And also, on that day, the heavenly palace lost its master. Then the scene shifts and we see a moonlit night. And an airplane is flying in the sky, and the name of this place is Seoul Station, South Korea. And this place is very beautiful, and then someone is coughing. And when people look back, there is Jin in front of them, and Jin is looking at this place and saying, it's good to arrive in a new world. But Jin has covered his nose with his hands, and he is saying, what's this? This murky air? I wonder if there's a decent guest house to rest in. I guess I should go to a place where I can feel a lot of human energy. Jin says after seeing the surrounding things, the guest house is truly magnificent and spacious. Oh, top quality bedding, huh? Everyone's gaze, it's been a long time. Instead of receiving the admiration and respect of the masses, I'm now met with guarded eyes. I felt this way before becoming the leader of the heavenly demon sect. Then a man sees Jin, and he says to Jin, Dividedism's anxiety? By the way, I don't know which language is this. But this man is missing a tooth, it seems his tooth has been taken away by a fairy. Jin is not able to understand what this man is saying, and Jin is saying, we need to understand each other to have a conversation. And then Jin remembers something, that he has the magic to learn languages. And Jin uses that magic, due to which Jin starts learning the language of this man. And within some time Jin learns the language. And Jin says to that man, when are you free? What? You ignoring me now? This man is surprised to hear Jin's voice and says, my voice sounds a bit different. Where are you from, yours hometown I mean? And Jin says, me? It's Korea, isn't it? And this guy says, Korea? Isn't that the name of a country? Anyway, what's going on? And Jin says to this man, get me a place to sleep. And this man puts his hand on Jin's shoulders and says, so this young friend is in the same industry as us. This boss name is Kwon Kyung Jae, so call me Kwon Hyung. Jin says, what do you mean, Hyung? I've spent dissecting the age's revolutions. And I've been over 100 years old for a long while now. I am a super master. The man gets surprised after listening to Jin's words and starts thinking. Super master? No wonder this young man's homeless. He's been hit in the head. After some time, the man brings Jin to another place. And at this place some people are sitting and drinking, and the man says, Mr. Kim, are all the rooms taken? And Kim says, there are still some left. Why? And this guy says, this guy has nowhere to her sleep. And this man points out that Jin is a little crazy. And then Jin uses language magic, and starts learning the language of these people, and Jin is thinking, if I use it on more people, the acquisition gets a lot smoother. Then Kim says to Jin, well, it's good for us to help each other. Come over here and take a seat. And Jin says in the language of Kim, thank you for your hospitality. And this man gets surprised after hearing Jin's language and says, huh? What the dash? I thought you were from the city. Were you just messing around? Kim gets angry and says, Lana, I guess they come and go as you say. Get out of my zone if you're going to cause a scene. Then this man gets scared of Kim, and starts leaving this place, and Kim says to Jin, "Don't worry about that guy. Come on." And Jin goes and sits near Kim, and Kim says to Jin, "What's wrong? You're not sick, are you?" And Jin says, "I'm fine. Just feeling a little dizzy." But Jin is thinking, even the masters in the West said that using that magic on just 2 people was tiring. It takes more out of you to use it on 5 people at once. Rather than feeling dizzy, the problem is that my inner strength is reaching its limits. I lost most of my strength just coming here. And Jin remembers the words of that being, "Well, let's see if I can close that door." And Jin thinks, I met him at the gate. An unprecedented existence. What was that guy? And Kim says to Jin, "My name's Kim Hang. What's yours?" And Jin thinks, I feel a bit uneasy giving strangers my real name. I'll use the name I had in my other life. And Jin tells Kim his name is Wanghu. After hearing Jin's name, the man says to Jin, "That name sounds very Chinese. How old are you?" And Jin tells him, "I stopped counting when I turned 100. Then Kim makes a drink for Jin, and Jin is thinking, he's interesting for sure. Though, I do feel bad for this guy. And Jin drinks that drink, due to which Jin gets very surprised. And Jin likes this drink very much, and he is thinking, it's my first time having such a sweet and refreshing drink. And Kim is also a little surprised to see Jin's action. Then Jin tells him, "Is there a better drink than this around?" And another man says, "What? It's the cheapest one out there. It's what us penniless bastards can afford." And Jin says, "So you're saying you can drink more delicious alcohol if you have more money? How do you make money?" And the man says, "You think we'd still be like this if we knew?" And another man says, "If you want to make an easy fortune, the best way is to go to the gate and awaken." The third guy says, "This one guy at Yongsan Station had an awakening some time ago. Now he drives a bunch of foreign cars." And Kim is getting a little angry after listening to his words, and he is saying, "Then what? Are you waiting? SG is clearing the gate as we speak." And the other guy says, "Those bastards. When are guys like us gonna get a chance like that? What if the government ends up taking all the resources?" Hearing his words, Jin gestures with his hand and says, "A gate? There are gates here too?" Then the man takes Jin to a corner and tells him, "There's a lot of gates here." And Jin says, "There are? Who made them?" Kim says, "Not a single person on earth knows." Hearing Kim's words, Jin is thinking, I wouldn't be able to make one without all my experience levels. Is it just the name that's the same? Then Kim says to Jin, "What's up with you, Wanghu? How come you don't know all this information about the world? Do you not remember your life before now?" And Jin says that it is a long story, and Kim is filling the drink in his glass. Then Jin, while drinking that drink, Jin says, "Where do I even start?" And Jin starts telling himself, "I was the Prince of Korea. Because I was the youngest, I was far from succeeding the throne, and because I held great respect for my brother, I lived a life without any dissatisfaction. The soldiers revolted, and they usurped the royal court. I crossed the Ming border alone with the help of my servants. You have to give him at least 3, but we were captured and sold as slaves to the mountain fire starters. I can't see whether we had good or bad luck at that point. If you don't kill your partner, you won't get any dinner." The Ming dynasty was in a situation where the orthodox faction and the evil faction joined forces to counter the demonic cult offensive. The place I was sold to was Zhang Doming's secret organization, the Extinction Rebellion. I was raised as a human weapon of slaughter by the exterminators to end the war against the demonic cult. The battle was fierce, and the battlefield became a site of mass destruction. But a few years later, some problems arose. The demonic cult ended in a ridiculous manner. Their leader died during his jubilee, and the clan was ruined by infighting. Now that the demonic cult had been wiped out, and the orthodox faction had made a weapon to kill the demonic cult, they felt that I was too powerful to be kept alive. They decided to destroy their weapon, rather than to risk leaving it alive. But I did not accept that fate. I and 13 other exterminators all ran away from the clan and lived together. We continuously ran and fought for our lives. In the end, only 3 of us survived. Sangrim, Wanghu or Jin Yuseong, Sin Juchum. The three of us sought revenge against the Orthodox faction, our blades sharpened by absorbing what was left of the demon cult. That was the birth of the heavenly demon cult, which governed the Ming dynasty and all of Nirim. And after listening to the whole story, Jin would have thought, HM. They're so touched that they can't even utter a word. And everyone was enjoying listening to Jin's story. He found Jin's story very interesting. Then Jin tells them, mind your words. Those days were too miserable to be judged like that. And a man says to Jin, so what happened next? I've read some martial arts novels, but I've never seen any stories like this one. Did the heavenly demon cult get their revenge against the Orthodox faction? How strong was the main character? But Jin gets angry and says, this isn't some exciting martial arts novel. Those were times of struggle and survival. Then the man takes something out of his bag and says, hold on. Your soju was delicious, right? This is precious to me, but I'll crack it open just for you. And this man has taken out 2 wine bottles from his bag and he is saying, Somek * is a harmonious mixture, sort of like yin and yang in terms of martial arts. Together, they exert an immense power. So, you'll tell us the rest of the story, right? And Jin looks at that wine bottle and says, I'll think about it after I drink a bit of this, Somek. And both those wine bottles are being filled in a glass, and seeing this, Jin is salivating. Then light starts coming out from that glass, and seeing which Jin laughs and says, oh, this elixir. It exudes a potent energy. But this man says to Jin, no, you idiot. How could this be Somek? And another man says, no way. I've only ever heard about this, a gate break? And a lot of energy is coming out from this place. And then those people get teleported to another place. And seeing this place, Jin is saying, what? Is this place? The people near where we were also came through. It's like a plane, but it's artificial. There are no slopes of natural objects. I can't even sense any bugs in the soil. Everyone is surprised to see this place, and they understand that it is a gate. And this man is saying, what are you talking about? The SG is still operational, but why is this gate? And as soon as this man looks in front, something is flying in the air in front of him. And everyone is looking at him only. And Jin is also watching him. And that thing says to these people, nice to meet you, everyone. I am D1C, the manager of this mission. First of all, I sincerely congratulate you on being selected by the gate. At the same time, we see a scene from another place, the Safe Gate, SG, Seoul Branch. Command and Control Office. And a man is saying, report all the gel figures. And this is Safe Gate, SG, Seoul Branch MAJ General Han Jihe. And then they get a danger message, which is due to the opening of a level 9 gate. And the man tells him everything, so that he also gets nervous and says, then that means the gate is about to break. How did it become like this? And the other man says, it certainly wasn't there a moment ago, but our sensors suddenly detected it. The director says, that's right. The Seoul Station CCTV. Who's the closest to Seoul Station right now? And Junior tells, Class of an Awakener, Sun Changsu. He lives near the station. And the director says, call him right now and tell him to head to the gate. What's the gate rating? And this man says, it's at least E rank, maybe D rank. And the director is thinking, if the gate isn't cleared on time, it releases massive amounts of energy and explodes. The power of the explosion depends on the gate's rating and progress. If this gate explodes, important roads near Seoul Station will be destroyed, and lines 1 and 4, as well as the airport railroads and the KTX * lines would all be paralyzed. Worse so, if it's a D rank, the nearby business and the greater downtown area could be reduced to ashes. The director's junior is saying, the estimated groups of people who would be affected by the explosion would be the homeless, the station staff, and passers-by in the area. Hurry up, Sun Changsu. 4 minutes till the explosion. And Junior nervously tells the director, the gate is complete. Dear God. And the director gets very nervous after hearing this. At the same time, everyone is nervous after seeing the manager, everyone is very scared, but that manager is saying, from this moment moving forward, You must join forces to survive a 7-day attack. Commencing system scan. Once the scan ends, open your inventory and view your status window. The skill window, experience valley quests, level up tab and state distribution window will also be accessible. And Kim is saying, the SG's well established so regular civilians rarely ever get caught up in things like this. And Kim opens his status window, and he checks his ability. His level is 1. And also he does not have any skills. Nor any equipment. And seeing all these things, Kim says, a little higher than the average person's. And Jin is seeing all these things for the first time, and he is not able to understand anything after seeing them. Then Jin directly says to that manager, "Purple guy." As soon as these people see that Jin is directly asking questions to that manager, they all get nervous. And those people catch Jin and shut his mouth. And a man is saying, "If you provoke the manager, we're screwed. Can't you read the room?" But Jin does not care about what these people say. He again says to the manager, "Hey, you cheeky floating bastard. Get down here." But the manager says within 10 minutes you will select your preferred weapon from your inventory. After 30 minutes, the attacks will begin. I wish you the best in these 7 days. The manager leaves this place, and as soon as the manager leaves this place, everyone heaves a sigh of relief. But a man is saying to Jin, "If you're gonna do something stupid, do it away from us next time," and now those people are checking their inventory. But Jin is confused. What is this inventory? Then the system opens in front of him, and the system says to Jin, "Please select your preferred weapon." And Jin is seeing many types of weapons, and the system is telling Jin, weapons cannot be selected after 10 minutes. And Jin doesn't take any weapon and he says, "What is this? I don't need one, so go away." Kim starts coming to Jin, and Kim says to Jin, "Hey, why'd you say that to the manager earlier? If you mess up, we're all affected, you know." And Jin says, "I just wanted to ask him something." Kim says, "You really are a crazy guy, huh?" Then Kim holds Jin's hand, and Kim says, "Follow me." And Kim is taking Jin somewhere, and Kim is saying, "Stay right next to me. That's the only way you'll survive." Then a man says to Kim, "Mr. Kang, that's a little. Can we afford to take him along?" And Kim says, "So we just let him die then?" And now it seems that Jin is looking at Kim from a different perspective. And Jin smilingly says to Kim, "You'll definitely be safe around me. I'll protect you for sure." And Kim says, "You're definitely insane. Hold on. Where's yours? Weapon?" And Jin says, "I don't need one, so I didn't get one." Kim gets a little angry after hearing Jin's words, and Kim gives his weapon to Jin, but Jin tells Kim that he does not need it. Just then a notification comes to all of them, and it is written in it, "The Day 1 attack will begin shortly." And Jin is looking ahead and thinking, this sign showed up out of nowhere. About 500 people. And a bright light is shining in the front, and a lot of beasts are coming from the front, and Jin is thinking, looking at them, no, these things aren't human. Their weight measures in at over 120 kilograms. Numbers, mass, speed. They easily surpass humans in every way. When people see these beasts, they all get very scared. Many people try to run away from this place, and one man is saying to Kim, "Whoa! Look at the size of those things. They could easily be 3 or 4 meters tall if they stood on their feet." But some people stand at this place to fight those beasts. These people do not run away in fear, but then Jin comes in front of them, and he is moving towards the beast, and Jin is thinking, the quality of these monsters' muscles easily overwhelms human muscles. Are these guys going to be wiped out? And when Kim sees Jin moving forward, he is shocked, and he says to Jin, "Are you an idiot? After all, where are you going? Don't you know that this is a very dangerous place? You can't leave this group?" But Jin does not pay attention to Kim's words. He is moving straight towards those beasts, and the beasts are very large in number. But Jin stands in front of that beast. An energy is coming out from inside Jin, and Jin is saying to that beast, "Let me spread the doctrine of the heavenly demon cult upon these boorish creatures." But all those beasts attack Jin directly, and the place turns to dust. Kim gets scared after seeing this, then after some time, he starts removing dust from this place. And when they see the beast in front, they all get surprised. Because Jin is not there at that place, there is a huge pit at that place. Those people are unable to understand where Jin has gone. But then we see, there is a horn on a beast. No, it is not a horn, it is Jin's leg. And Jin is saying, the first doctrine of the heavenly demon cult. Give worship to the heavenly gods. Well, I've got a rough idea of your physical ability. Now let's see how much you can handle. Jin starts attacking all those beasts, and he starts killing them very fast. The power of Jin's attack is so powerful that with just one attack the entire place gets divided into two pieces. And Jin gets a notification that you have leveled up, and it is written in the notification, first level up Awakener. Protection system is in operation. After the next level up, the Awakener protection system will cease function. Pause action is now in effect. And Jin is thinking, huh? Just like it said it would, their attacks got paused. Jin again gets notification from the system, please allocate your 10 stat points. If stat points are not allocated within the next 10 seconds, they will be distributed randomly. And Jin is saying, is it because of this? What am I supposed to do? Then Jin starts getting a lot of notifications from the system. Scanning error has occurred. Unable to quantify target's capability values. The scan was unsuccessful due to an unknown reason. Player will be given capability value of level 1 until system scan is at normal operation. After scan error is resolved, stats acquired through leveling up will be applied equally. Then the system tells Jin about his status. It seems that Jin's ability is so high that the system is not able to measure his power. There is a question mark behind every status of Jin. And the system boosts Jin's status, and Jin gets a notification, stat points were not allocated. 10 stats points distributed randomly. 4 points to strength, 4 points to stamina, and 2 points to endurance. And Jin's power is increasing like this, and Jin is saying, now I get it. This is the awakening that those crazies used to talk about. My power is being forced into growing. When you defeat a monster in the gate, you awaken through that thing called the system. The more you defeat, the stronger and more well-structured you become as a player. Jin is emanating a lot of energy from within him, and he is saying, but that's useless to me. The martial arts I have accumulated are not just simple physical force. The only thing I can awaken to I am myself. Still, the energy is as gentle as Mother Nature herself. Be my strength, all of you. Don't reject it. Now that you're in my domain, escape is impossible. And because of Jin's power, an error starts appearing in the system, and the system says stat points are not distributed normally due to an unknown error. Stat points lost due to? And Jin, using his power, comes back to level 1. Then all the beasts move forward to attack Jin. But Jin has killed all those beasts with a single move. And the system gives a lot of notifications to Jin. But still Jin comes to level 1, and Jin is happy, and he is saying, just killing 4 of these guys will grant you half a year's worth of internal experience. And now all the monsters are scared after seeing Jin, and Jin again moves forward to kill these beasts. And all these animals started running away in fear of Jin. But Jin is not able to make them run, and all the people are very surprised to see the power of Jin. And again the system has given notification to Jin, an incredible first accomplishment. The player single-handedly killed 100 Nuka warriors. A rune has been granted to the player. Nuka Tribe's Nightmare, General Grade C. Nuka Tribe Hunter. When fighting a Nuka warrior, the player receives a 30% buff to all stats. The first achievement has been awarded only to one player. Up to 10 runes can be utilized. Whether or not to use a rune is up to the player. Would you like to accept the rune? Yes/no. But Jin says don't need it. And Jin again starts getting many notifications from the system, seeing which Jin starts going crazy. And he becomes very angry and he is saying, what's with all these screens? You're killing me with this stuff. Still, many notifications are coming to Jin, and Jin is saying, what? The hell is consideration? I don't need any of it, so don't give it to me. But then the system gives some more notifications to Jin, hidden piece activated. The player is granted the rune, One Who Cares for Humanity, Myth S rank. Human Career, Myth S rank, player receives a 30% boost to all stats. And Jin gets happy seeing these things and says, "Ah, this looks nice. This will increase the amount of lunch meat that comes my way." And also Jin gets something, equipped with runes protection. And when these people see that Jin has killed those beasts, they are very surprised. But these people are happy that these people are still alive. Then one of the men says if he clears all the attacks on his own, we won't even be able to awaken when we exit the gate. That's right. We need to awaken and get rich. Yeah. Like that guy Jang, from Yongsan Station. And the other man says, turns out we're weak as shit, huh? Then after listening to his words Kim says, are you guys insane, you'll die. But this man says, don't worry Mr. Kim. He looks like he's having a hard time all alone, so we need to help him. Anybody else want to lend a hand? Kim gets very angry and Jin sees all this from a distance and says, I have no reason to stop a fight that I choose willingly. Just make sure you win and become awakeners. After some time, Jin has killed all those beasts, and Jin is standing near the corpses of all those beasts, and Jin is saying, not sure if it's just me or if there's actually some energy coming off their bodies. It looks like they're smoldering away. Jin again gets many notifications from the system. And now Jin is really about to go crazy, and he is saying, what the hell is all off this? Isn't there a way to get rid of these things? All the notifications of the system are open near Jin's face. But then someone comes behind Jin, and it is Kim, and Kim says to Jin, idiots. That's why I told you not to go. Awakening doesn't get you anywhere. And Kim has killed those people, and Jin comes behind Kim and says, sometimes you risk your life for the sake of ambition. Hey, Mr. Inghang. Did you see that? I told you I'd save you, didn't I? And Kim says, you? How old did you say you were? And Jin says, I haven't counted since I turned 100, so I don't know. Kim says, and you said you were the Prince of Korea? And Jin says, that's right. Kim is thinking, it's incredible that he has such tremendous power. But, is it possible that's his awakening tampered with his mind? Then both Jin and Kim are talking and Jin is saying, seems all that running made me hungry, and Kim says, food and other survival items should be in your inventory. And this boy is nervous and saying, what should we do now? And Jin says, why would you ask me that? Ah, don't worry. I'll carry all the lunch meat myself. These people are surprised, and Jin tells them that we will eat the monsters. Then suddenly a man raises his hand and says, I'm a public servant working at the Seoul subway station, so I know SG's guidelines for dealing with gates. If there are civilians involved, wouldn't awakening lead to an increase in our survival rate? Hearing her words, Jin says, so? I'm not an awakener. The man says, what? You're not with SG? And Jin makes a martial arts pose and says, nope. Not an awakener. You've never heard of martial arts? And Kim is saying, he's just our friend that's gone nuts. Jin says to Kim, what do you mean, nuts? You still don't believe me, you bastard? And Kim says, what are you talking about? How am I supposed to believe that you're from the Ming dynasty? A gate? You finished making it? I see. Incredible. What's with that face, you punk? And Jin points his finger at one side and says, hey, you. And this man is surprised to see Jin's finger pointing towards him, and he is saying, you're in charge of these kids. Huh, how am I support you heard what I said, and understood everything, right? That's because you're the only awakener here. Then everyone starts staring at this man. And this man doesn't know how to say anything, but then this man shows his anger and says, how did you know? But Jin said to that man, I felt the energy flowing through your body. I can see everything with my eyes. And this guy says, is that so? You are more impressive than I thought. That's right, I am an awakened individual named Kang Seryong. However, unfortunately, I am affiliated with CSG, and I am Chinese. According to the treaty, I cannot intervene in the affairs of other countries' gates. Jin says, if I tell you to do it, then do it. And this guy says, yes? Didn't I just say that? And Jin uses his power, which makes it difficult for this man, and Jin says to him, "Are you saying you won't do it? Is that treaty more precious than your own safety? From now on, you're the leader." GOT. It? This man gets scared after seeing Jin's power, and now he is ready to accept everything Jin says. And Jin is thinking, they say that the world is vast, and there are many powerful ones. How many are capable of strolling through the Nuka tribe alone, slaughtering hundreds as if on a casual walk? This boy is rumored to be among the top 200 in rankings, a high ranker. How has he not become known in the world until now? Could it be that he is a top ranker who has changed his appearance? And Jin says to this man with evilness, "What's up? Cat got your tongue?" And this man says, "If no one else is awakened, then I'll do it. Above all, one must live and see." Then Jin starts leaving this place and says, "Great. Since I'll be the one in the battle, ensure that no one gets hurt." This guy says, "Well, that's unlikely to happen. As you know, E-rank 8s or higher do not get aggro from the second day onward." Jin says, "What are you talking about?" So this guy says, "Do you really not know?" Then he starts telling Jin. The administrator here referred to himself as D1C. The administrator's codename contains information about the gate. The first letter signifies the strength of the monster appearing in the gate. If the rank had been a bit lower, even those who died earlier would have safely defeated the monsters and become awakened. The middle number indicates the sequence of 3 missions: defense, offense, and raid. Here is number 1, so it's a defense mission. The last character signifies the difficulty based on the total number of participants. The lower the total number of participants, the higher the difficulty becomes. If it's C, the difficulty is moderate relative to the number of participants. Do you understand? But Jin does not care about this man's words, and this man is thinking, I'm not sure if he really doesn't know or if he is pretending not to know. Then this man tells Jin his name, and Jin tells him his name. Then this man says, "Today is the first day, so the aggro didn't loosen up, and it was directed towards Wanghu. But when tomorrow comes, it'll charge at the people. Then no one can avoid the battle. I will lead and persevere, so Wanghu, you have no choice but to deal with these monsters as quickly as possible." But Jin says, "Well, I guess so. There doesn't seem to be any better option." Oh, is leveling up just a matter of defeating a few monsters, like around 3 or so? It varies for each monster, you know. And as you may know, as your level increases, the required experience points increase exponentially. And this man is thinking, why do you keep asking such questions? Are you just that ignorant, or is there another reason? Then someone comes to this man and says to him, "I am awakened. How difficult is it to achieve AD grade?" The man says, "It's quite challenging." And this guy is thinking, no, it's absolutely impossible for 2 awakeners to clear it together. Even if that boy exerts tremendous strength and clears the gate, it's highly probable that most civilians will die. On the other side, the news about that gate is running in the news channel, and the news reporter is telling, it has been 5 days since a gate incident occurred at Seoul Station, the current hub of logistics in Asia. Scientists have been predicting the occurrence of gates through gel values. The gate that appeared this time is the world's first unranked gate disregarding gel values. According to SG's official announcement, the Seoul Station gate is classified as rank D, and all participants are reported to be civilians. What is the number of participants? Due to the significant inclusion of homeless individuals, the exact number of participants has not been determined. However, it is estimated to be between 200 and 230 people. Has not a single awakened individual been included in the selected participants? Unfortunately, that is the case. The probability of clearing the gate seems to be significantly low. Within the next 48 hours, if those individuals fail to clear the mission, the gate will explode. And the director is also watching the news, and the director is saying, how are the evacuations of establishments within a 2-kilometer radius of the gate's location progressing? So this man tells the director, evacuation within a 1-kilometer radius has been completed. However, establishments within the 2-kilometer radius are refusing to evacuate. Since evidence indicates that explosions beyond a 1-kilometer radius from a gate overflow have been exceptionally rare until now. The director says, darn it, It's driving me nuts. Is that trivial company more important when human lives are at stake? And the higher-ups surely won't bother coming to work. Deputy Director, kindly record our strong recommendation. Journalists will arrive within the next 2 hours. If we send faxes, emails, and make calls right in front of them, the press will likely write articles like corporate ignorance off gate safety. And this man also understands the director's words, and then the director says, have the identities of the homeless individuals at Seoul Station been identified? Is it true that Captain Kim Il-kang is involved? And the guy says, yes, Kim Il-kang, former army officer, 43 years old. Captain Kim Il-kang. He was a senior officer from the same army background as me. Due to his unwavering sense of justice that couldn't tolerate injustice, he was discharged dishonorably, but he is respected among fellow army veterans. And the director says, it would be great if he could lead people and clear the gate. This man says, there is no information or leads on the peculiarly dressed man who was next to Captain Kim Il-kang. This man says a little nervously, I thought the distinct clothing would make him easy to find, but he seems as inconspicuous as someone who just appeared out of nowhere. There are no false reports either. Then these people check the CCTV and the man tells, not having a face on the CCTV is suspicious in itself, and there are various other questionable aspects. Since everyone related to the incident entered the gate, there's no way to find out. We have no choice but to wait until 2 days after the gate opens. Perhaps everyone inside might already be dead. As time passes, there are 25 minutes left until the gate closes. For safety reasons, reporters have evacuated, so from now on, we will broadcast through the high-precision cameras installed around and inside Seoul Station. We ask all citizens to join us in praying for a miracle. Only 5 minutes left until the gate closes. After a while the gate starts opening, and the director is also watching all this, and he is saying, has the gate not exploded? Could it be that they cleared a D-rank gate? Then a bright light shines from that gate, and with this all those people survive and come through this gate. And the man is thinking, he almost single-handedly defeated all those monsters. And then on my way out from the gate, one who disappeared. I'm not dreaming, right? After this the scene shifts, and now Jin is roaming in the city, and he is speaking after seeing the things around him. It's so impressive. How does something like that even exist? Some Kong Seryong mentioned that clearing the gate was a miracle. I managed to quickly escape from getting caught up in tedious tasks. But now, what should I do? Well, I'll take my time to think about it, or maybe earn some money and treat myself to something that takes to the skies. And as Jin goes ahead, he gets a little surprised. When he looks ahead, he sees Sandgrim. And as soon as Sandgrim looks back, Jin is in front of him. And Jin is saying to Sandgrim, is this you? But Sandgrim is shocked. How did the sect master come to this place? Then Jin is speaking to Sandgrim. Seeing you are here is unexpected. But Sandgrim is running away from Jin, and is running very fast. And seeing him running, Jin gets very angry, and he says, how dare you run away after looking at me? You are dead. But rushing around like that, he seems like an ordinary person with no martial arts training at all. In the past, if Sandgrim tried to escape, even a country had to use at least 15 breaths to catch him. Could he not be Sandgrim? Even though the faces look alike, the philtrum seems noticeably vacant, and the belly has protruded. No. Was my skill stolen by that guy? Then Jin comes in front of Sandgrim, and seeing him in front, Sandgrim gets very scared. He is not able to understand. What should he do now? And he is saying, how do you do martial arts? Master, didn't you lose your inner strength? And Jin shows his dangerous face to Sandgrim and says, you recognized me and still ran away, didn't you? And seeing Jin's dangerous face, Sandgrim gets very scared, and he is thinking, what should I do? If it continues like this, I'll be beaten to death. And Sandgrim bows down before Jin and starts calling him Heavenly Demon Lord. And all the people around are surprised to see that a man is kneeling down in the middle of the road. And Sandgrim is feeling embarrassed and is thinking, this is so annoying. Kowtowing on the streets at this age, and Sandgrim tries to rise up. But then Jin puts spiritual pressure on him, due to which he bends on his knees again. And seeing Jin's pressure, Sandrim starts thinking, the sect master's internal strength is exerting pressure on my body. This would require at least a basic understanding of the principles involved. Sandrim says to Jin, please, let's move to another place. Let's go somewhere quiet and talk about everything. After some time, both of them come to the place together, but Sandrim is unable to say anything to Jin, and Sandrim is thinking, I've been here for 22 years without even realizing it. I've almost the forgotten Central Plains, except for a few people. I may not remember the faces of people well, but forgetting the face of sect master is something I can't bring myself to do. The last time I saw master, he appeared to be in his early 30s now. He looks just like a teenager. And Jin says to Sandrim, setting aside that I'm glad to see you for a moment. Unless you give me valid reasons for ignoring me first, you'll die right here today. Hearing Jin's threat, Sandrim starts trembling and says, You're calmly making such frightening remarks. Well, I thought I was seeing another illusion. And Jin is surprised to hear what Sandrim says, and Jin asks Sandrim about the illusion, and Sandrim tells Jin, yes. After coming to Korea, I saw the leader's figure after such a very long time. But when I approached, shouting, it vanished like smoke. It was an illusion. The stress of never being able to return to my hometown, as expressed by the representative, was described as a heart demon. The sect master is a symbolic figure representing my home, thus, you appeared. But Sandrim takes out artificial tears from him and starts putting them in his eyes, and says, the representative said, is running away the first step in curing the illness. Since then, whenever facing a phantom, I ignore it and fled. And Jin is listening carefully to Sandrim's words, and Sandrim is thinking happily, oh, it's working, it's working. And Sandrim further says, it's been quite a while since I last saw a phantom. Lately, I've been going through some tough times, so, thinking the heart demon had awakened again, I quickly ran away. And Sandrim is acting very well and crying in front of Jin. And Sandrim is thinking about his past. Come to think of it, I quickly learned the language through Mulder's method, but Kandrim might not have had the same experience, right? Wandering for several years like a stranger might also awaken the heart demon within. Moreover, losing martial arts skills probably contributed to the breakdown of mental resilience. The current Sandrim, his spirit is completely empty like a deserted field. And then a waiter asks, what would you like in your order? So hearing this, Sandrim asks Jin, what would you like to eat? And Jin is surprised, because Jin has seen the menu for the first time. And Sandrim tells Jin that this is a coffee shop. And this is your first time, so you wouldn't know, of course. It's only been a day since I properly explored this world. But how come you're so proficient in Korean? And Jin says, don't you remember? Among Mulder's techniques, there's one that helps you learn languages. Then Sandrim says, oh. So, the leader must have arrived beyond the heavenly god's palace yesterday. And now Jin starts looking at the menu carefully, and is thinking, if we go by the order of the books, what's written at the top must be the most confident dish in this house. Jin has ordered espresso. And Sandrim is curious, how will he taste espresso? Because this is the first time Jin is going to take the taste. And Sandrim is watching him carefully, but Sandrim does not understand how Jin got his taste. Until now he has not even given any reaction. Jin releases his energy and says to Sandrim, Sandrim, don't say anything, just listen. M's poison. Someone poisoned the drink. Upon my arrival, it appears there's an enemy targeting you. Judging by the lack of vital signs, it seems to be the result of a formidable assassin's expertise. Pretend as if you're about to sip the drink. Don't drink it. Have you already been poisoned? If so, blink your eyes twice. I told you not to open your mouth. But Sandrim says it's not poison. That's just how it's supposed to taste. Jin says, no. For a moment, my heart raced. Sandrim tells Jin, that's the effect of caffeine in the coffee. And Jin moves his finger forward to remove that little poison. And with the help of magic he drops that little poison on the table, which is like an acid, and Jin says, look, the poison is corroding this container. Why aren't you using honorifics? A master assassin might be targeting us, you know? I detected the presence of someone showing signs of fleeing. Hearing Jin's words, Sangrim is thinking, attempting to poison? By using internal energy, melting the table with your martial arts skills. Alright. In the future, there will likely be countless incidents like this, so why bother scrutinizing each one individually? Hold on. Countless incidents? And Sangrim gets a little nervous and says to Jin, Master, by the way, do you have a place to stay? And Jin says yes, and points his finger out towards Sangrim, and says, do you understand what this means? So Sangrim understands that Jin is talking about him, but hearing this Sangrim gets angry, stands up and says, it's not acceptable. Well, I'd rather find a home for you myself. Jin releases his evil energy, and smilingly says to Sangrim, hey, why would I leave my subordinates and live uncomfortably alone? And Sangrim bows before Jin and says, please, I earnestly request this. Absolutely not. And Jin says, why not? Think carefully, Sangrim. Jin places his hand on Sangrim's shoulder and says, what if? Follow you secretly and enter your home? You can't stop me, can you? So, you just have to guide me, right? As soon as he listens to Jin, Sangrim understands that he is not going to save him. And Sangrim is thinking, what would my wife and daughter think if I brought a boy from outside? Jin hugs Sangrim and says, I'm truly happy to be with you again, and Sangrim nervously says, I'm also pleased to meet the master like you again. After this the scene shifts and we see a school scene. And a beautiful girl is sitting in a classroom, and then she hears some sound, and some people are saying, this is insane. How did the D rank 8 cleared without a single awakened individual? They say the number of casualties are just over 40. They say there was an undisclosed high-level awakened being, right? Could it be that he acquired an extraordinary rune protection or skill? And this girl is also surprised when she comes to know about a high-level awakened being. And on the other side a man is getting very angry, and he is saying, what's going on? Right now? Isn't it a UN policy that awakened individuals are considered affiliated with the country where they awaken domestically? Why hide the identity of the awakened individuals? Are they trying to monopolize awakened beings in SG, by any chance? And this is the man, the Awakening Management Department Minister. The minister is speaking to the director, Director Han, please say something. The director is not saying anything, the director is remembering what those people said. A mentally unstable boy defeated thousands of monsters by himself. There was a Chinese awakened individual, but he did not participate in the battle. From the second day onward, monsters swarmed at us relentlessly, and we had to fight as well, but, and the director is thinking, due to the boy handling most of it until the end, only 22 people managed to seize the opportunity to awaken. Among the 178 survivors who made it out of the D rank gate, 156 are still ordinary civilians. Even if we reveal facts that differ from common knowledge like this, there's a high chance of facing international condemnation. There is suspicion that SG is deceiving the public by portraying awakened individuals as ordinary civilians for some ulterior motive. The existence of a boy named Wang Hu is unbelievable. Even the Chinese awakened individual, the only one whose existence could somewhat be believed, hid their whereabouts. All the questions will be resolved only when Lieutenant Kim Ming-hang wakes up. After this the scene shifts, and Sangrim is asking Jin, what happened? To the great Ming, the empire that got you through the gate? Jin tells, well, they'll figure it out their own. Does that mean you came without saying a word? If the sect master leaves suddenly like this, won't the remaining people feel confused? Especially, Brother Jetching seems to be feeling that way. Jin, being serious, says, everyone died except for me. When Sangrim hears this, he gets a huge shock, and he says to Jin, did they die? Was there a war or something? No, there won't be a war against the great Ming Empire. Then, is it a civil war? An epidemic? Jin tells, no, there was no rebellion plague. Everyone passed away after living a good life. Sangrim, I lived for 90 more years after you left. Those who shared our era departed one by one. Their sons and grandsons filled the space beside me, but it wasn't the same as before. The descendants considered me as a deity. Hearing Jin's words, Sangrim thinks, then, am I the only one left among those who were with the sect master? Then Sangrim says, it has been 22 years for me. Jin says, 22 years, huh? Quite a while, isn't it? And Sangrim says, it's not even a quarter of the sect master's lifespan. Even thought's 90 years have passed, sect master hasn't aged at all. Rather, you seem to have become younger. And Jin says smilingly, with 2 reincarnations and 2 reversions, aging is no longer a concern. But what about you? And Sangrim says, oh, it's fascinating and enviable, so without realizing it, even I. Anyway, in them history of the Central Plains, those who have undergone reincarnation can be counted on one hand, and to do it twice. It's Sect Master indeed. Did Sect Master bring his powers from the Central Plains? And Jin shows his power and says, it's a bit of a long story. I lost it, but I'm in the process of getting it back. Have you completely lost your strength? Sangrim, being serious, says, yes. What? Remains are scattered throughout my body. In essence, I'm just an ordinary person. Master, is there any chance I could refine my skills again? And Jin says, why do you think you can't? But the energy here is so murky that it doesn't seem beneficial to cultivate even if you try. True, I haven't been doing it for that reason. I don't know if there's a clear place anywhere. Once you build up your energy, I can filter out the impurities. It shouldn't be that difficult. Sangrim becomes happy after listening to Jin, and Jin says to Sangrim, why? Do you want me to do it? And Sangrim says, yes. Please, 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 I'm begging you. Jin says, really? Does that mean I have to live at your home then? Hearing Jin's words, Sangrim bows down and gets ready to accept Jin's words. Then Sangrim says to Jin, however, does the sect master not encounter that strange person inside the heavenly god palace? It's like a vague dream, so I don't remember it clearly, but I met someone, and all I remember is that the scoundrel took away my skills. Hearing Sangrim's words, Jin says, oh, that guy? I've met him too. That's why most of my skills were lost. Sangrim is saying, indeed, the sect master also had them taken away. Jin says, no. I haven't had mine taken away. I used them all during the showdown with that fellow. When fighting there, my skills didn't recover. Sangrim is surprised to hear this. You fought against that terrifying guy, you say? Jin says, yeah, but if you don't even remember, what's so terrifying about it? Sangrim trembles after hearing about it and says, so, isn't it even scarier because of that? I may have been weaker compared to the sect master, but I was also a skilled martial artist with few rivals in the Central Plains. He effortlessly drained away my martial process, as if it were a simple breath. To be honest, I've entertained them a few times that he might actually be a god. And Jin says, ah, what god? Definitely not. If it's a god, would he lose to me? Are you saying the high priest one? Please elaborate a bit more. He was draining away my skills, so I fought him to the death. It feels like I fought for a whole month without eating or sleeping. I definitely won. That's what he said. If you kill me, you'll be trapped in the eternal depths of the underworld. Are you planning to die together with me? Let's take care of complicated issues step by step. For now, start with killing yourself. Is that your intention? Is that why I lost? He is just conveying information. I don't sense any emotions from him. In that case, there's a high likelihood that what this guy said is true. However, what I said wasn't just casually spoken. This is a space of loss. You can only pass by losing the most precious part of yourself. You are given a choice. Lose yourself and 10% of nothing. Or lose 90% of nothing and 10% of yourself? Then I killed that being. Then I was told where. Pass, you are the first to pass through while preserving yourself entirely. I will see if you can close the door. Anyway, that's how it turned out. There might have been more to the story, but I don't remember the details. Oh. I was wondering where it went. My sword of Enmyola disappeared back then. Sword of Enmyola, divine sword symbolizing the heavenly demon sect. The sword of Enmyola itself is unrelated to the heavenly demon sect, but Jin Yuseong, who led the survival corps, needed justification to absorb the remnants of the demon school. The most noteworthy was the sword of Inmyo. It's a bit regrettable about the sword. It was a one-of-a-kind sword in the world. Sandgrim says, what's with the expression, as if losing a transportation card? Without the Emil sword, the sect master can't use Emil energy, right? Jin says that applies only to secret techniques. There's no issue with the 12-second style in the first and second halves. Sandgrim says, in the end, did the sect master lose 90% of the Emil sword and internal energy, and something else 10%? Jin says, perhaps. Now that I see, it seems my dantian was completely empty. It seems it wasn't just what was consumed in the fight. And Sandgrim says, but what was the other option? Jin says, well, probably nothing special. Sandgrim says, if it wasn't anything special, I would have chosen internal energy instead. Wasn't it something important? Jin says, that makes sense too. If you give away your internal energy, what will you protect? And Sandgrim tells, my hair. If I restore my internal energy, will my hair grow back? How did the sect master recover his internal energy? And Jin tells Sandgrim, when I defeated monsters at the Soul Station gate, they rewarded me with internal energy. And when Sandgrim hears this, he says, so, does that mean the sect master cleared Soul Station? Jin says, oh, I gained internal energy by leveling up. So, I worked hard for it. Sandgrim says, we are in trouble. First, we need to go shopping. And Jin uses his power and understands shopping. Means buying something, right? Why all of a sudden? Sandgrim tells Jin, your attire is very noticeable. Have you revealed your name by any chance? And Jin says, not my real name. I used my alias, Wanghu. Sandgrim says, Wanghu? That's fortunate. Before the SG or the government tracks down sect master, let's escape quickly. But CCTV cameras have recorded them.